How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to get precious components in 3 of my favorite ways to do it. And so these are the ways that I feel are the best ways to get precious components. If you disagree, well then go watch a new video. Anyway, here we go. So the number one way that, we'll say not number one way, but the first way I'm going to be showing you guys is going to be by using this ability. It's going to be, well, this perk. It's called Scavenging. So this is my augmented chaotic staff from when Invention first came out, so I really haven't updated it in forever. That's why it's only got like crackling 2 and random stuff on here. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but you know what? It just came out and I was testing stuff. So Scavenging 2 has a chance to get an uncommon drop. You also have a 1% chance of getting a rare component as a drop. So basically, just by mowing down tons of enemies, you will get a bunch of components. It doesn't really sound like you'll get that many. When you think about it, because it's like 1% chance per rank, and this is Scavenging 2, so it's like a 2% chance of getting this item. But the thing is, though, guys, is you actually do get quite a bit of components from this, especially if you have Scavenging 3 also. So the thing with Scavenging 3, though, is it's very, very rare, and also you need the precious components to be able to get it, so this video will hopefully help you get that. But you can definitely unlock Scavenging 2 on your gizmo pretty easily, even with a lower level for Invention. You can just use whatever precious components you currently have. And anyway, Scavenging 2 is going to give you a great chance of getting a bunch of precious while you're doing Slayer or doing Champion Scrolls or whatever else you're doing. So it's one of those things where you can start stocking up your precious components and other components while you're just playing the game normally. I've actually gotten quite a few of my rare components by doing Scavenging. Next thing here is going to be the Bank Standard. So the Bank Standard is made at level 60 Invention. What these do is they will just start collecting up charges while you are near a bank. So if you're like right next to a bank, like doing some bank standing, doing some skilling, whatever you're doing, you can also put these in the pocket slot. I don't really know why they don't stack, but Jagex needs to hurry up and do that. But what these will do is while you have them in your inventory or equipped, they will just slowly pick up charges, and I think it's every 3. It's either every 3 or every 5 minutes they will explode, and when they do, you will see on the left right here the materials gained. It says right here your bank standard fully charged itself with idle energy and exploded, and then give you these materials. So you're going to get 125 common materials, which can be very, very useful, especially when you get stuff like head parts and other stuff to make tools. You get blade components. You get a lot of really good stuff to make pretty much everything, actually. And then you also get 4 uncommons. You also have a chance of getting a rare. These uncommons, though, can quite often be precious. I get a lot of Swift, a lot of precious from doing bank standards. So something you can do is you can just make a ton of these and then just start throwing them in your presets. That way that while you're sitting there bank standing and skilling, then you can just have these exploding and giving you a bunch of parts. So these first 2 things I showed you right here are a great way to get precious components, or pretty much any other components as well that you're looking for in the game, without really grinding for those, without disassembling a bunch of stuff. You can just just use these and then get them as you play the game normally. So the next thing here is going to be the Slayer Cape, teleporting to the Slayer Masters. Now, if you do not have the Slayer Cape, that's okay. I actually already made a previous video about doing the method where you hop back and forth. So essentially what you do is you can use your Slayer Cape, your 99 Slayer Cape, to activate it and then teleport to a Slayer Master of your choice. In this instance, I'm teleporting right here to this person, and then what you do is you go here, you trade, and then you buy all of their enchanted gems. Once you buy all their enchanted gems, you teleport back with your max cape and then deposit them. You can also teleport back with the Tokul Zo, which is the ring that teleports you to a bank. Now you can also teleport back with the Daemonheim. You can also do the dueling ring, whatever, if you do not have max cape. But if you don't have the Slayer 99 cape, then it's kind of a pain to come back and forth here a whole lot. So what I want to show, what I would like to explain to you guys, what you can do if you do not have the Slayer Cape or you do not have max cape, like if you don't have a convenient way of getting here or you don't have a convenient way of getting back to the bank, then what you can do is you can use magic note papers. So magic note papers, all you gotta do is click on them, click on the enchanted gems, and then they note them all. Now the thing is, even if you do have all these things already, as you can see, it is quite a bit faster than banking. So you can literally just do it like this, and you'll be able to get all these gems very quickly. Actually, much more quickly than doing the teleporting back and forth, as I mentioned. Now, here's the thing. The magic note papers obviously do cost money, and that's a lot of the reason why people may not consider doing it this way. Another option, by the way, I should just mention throughout there is that you are able to put these enchanted gems into a summoning familiar, so you can put them in your pack yak or whatever, and then bank them. There's also that. The only thing is though is then you have to trade her. You have to get them in your inventory, then you have to trade them to your pack yak, and then blah blah blah. It takes a bunch of time. Now, if you're trying to do it as quickly as possible, like I just did, and I'm one of those people where I will spend a little bit more money to make the game more convenient for sure. So if you're one of those people, then this is a really great option for you. So this is currently my best way to get precious components. Now, what you do is you use magic note paper, and then you stack them all up, enchanted gems noted. And then you hop to the next Slayer Master. So what you'll do is you'll just activate, you'll go to the next Slayer Master, which is going to be Majna. You can basically just go to Taverley actually, and use her. And then you can also then go to Majna, and then when you're at Majna, you can just sit here and get these again. So then you can just note paper them. So it's very convenient. And don't misclick like I did, otherwise Morven will try to talk to you and tell you stupid stuff you don't care about. So that is the way to get these. Now, let me explain the price breakdown of how much it actually costs to do magic note papers and why it is still a really, really, really awesome method, and in my opinion, still the best method. So when we look over here, we've got the chart. So this is the Wikia calculator that tells you how much everything costs for when you look at a component. At the top here, you have the junk reduction. So I've got junk reduction 9 at 105. You can type in whichever one that you have. If you have junk reduction 1, then it looks more like this, which costs a heck of a lot more. But junk reduction 9 is going to make them look like this. Now, I highly recommend that every time you use these charts right here, that you do click the cost per material, because that is the most relevant thing. The cost per material is going to tell you how much it costs for every one of the component you're looking for. So in this case, we're looking at precious. So this tells you how much it's going to cost per precious when you disassemble each one of these items over here. Now, the other thing you really need to pay attention to is going to be the materials per hour. Really, honestly, the only two things you actually need to pay any attention to on this chart is going to be the cost per material and the material per hour. These other things, honestly, just lead to this. So, that is basically the two things you have to pay attention to. So when you look at cost per material, you see the Ring of Slaying being the price of disassemble on that is $477, and that is because of the gold bar used. And the cost per material is going to end up being $3,288, and you're going to get 435 materials per hour. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you are using well, actually, here, one second before I actually get into that. You'll notice that the materials per hour at 435, if you look down this list, you will not see anything that is even remotely close to that. Well, there's 311, 319, but that's still not really anywhere near. That's a full like 100 and something off. You have to go all the way down to Dragonstone Amulet before you're able to hit something even similar to the Ring of Slaying, which is 69,000 per component. So you can see that even by adding the magic note paper, you are still going to be like a boatload less money spent than doing the Dragonstone Amulet or something higher. So if we go back here, and now we're going to calculate, how much it's actually going to be by this. It's really you're just going to be adding on the extra 1,500. So if your price per disassemble is going to be $477, to keep the math the same, $477. You are able to buy these note papers. By the way, let's go ahead and look back here real quick. I'm thinking about too many things while I'm trying to talk. So if you look at this, you hit examine. You can see they're $14.62. These do always buy. Well, not always, but I will say most of the time these actually do buy lower than the GE average. So if you just were like, hey, you know what, I feel like doing this in a couple days, then what you can do is you can just put like a lowball offer in there. I constantly buy these note papers for like 1,000 each, even when they're like 1,700 in their Grand Exchange or whatever. I can still get them for 1,000 each. That's just how note papers are. There's a lot of people selling them, not as many people buying them because the buy limit is only 500. Which it should be noted that if you're doing this ring run once per day, you can get about 600 rings every 24 hours. That's kind of how it comes down to. So one buy limit is going to give you almost an entire day's worth of rings. Sorry, as gems, not rings, but yeah, well, same thing, I guess. So it's not really that important that you get more than 500 every 4 hours anyway. So the buy limit is not really much of an issue. Also, with that, you have plenty of time to try to buy them for a cheaper price. So it's not really worth rushing to buy a bunch of these. So I would highly recommend throwing in a low ball offer if you're going to be buying these magic note papers to save yourself as much money as possible. So I know that right now they buy for 1,000, but we know that Grand Exchange exchange average right now is 1462. When we go back here and we look at this, we can see that the price per disassemble is 477. And 477 is equal to 3288, which means that if we take 477 times about 4, because that's going to be right around, you know, like 1700 or whatever, so it's going to be a little bit less than that. It's going to be a little bit less than 4 times this value. So we know that 3,288 times 4 is going to be like, what, like 13,000 or something like that. So 13,000 or so, it's going to be a little bit cheaper than 13,000. You're going to end up spending, without trying to be like, you know, super math whiz and try to figure this out and spend so much time testing it and everything, you're going to be anywhere between 11 and 13,000 per component. So 11 to 13,000 per component, guys, is still going to be amazing, because I will give you like a little insider. The unpowered symbol, unblessed symbol, clay ring, unstrung symbol, this amulet farming 1, this unstrung symbol, none of these things are going to buy at the price stated. So like all these things, unless you just get really lucky, because I've literally gone through and tried this, unless you get really lucky, guys, none of these prices right here are going to buy. So you're going to have to pay more than that, which means these costs per material are actually going to be all higher than this. So in all reality, you're not really going to be able to get any components for like less than like 12,000 each. Like, you're really not going to be able to, because even the gold bracelets yesterday were buying for like 700 each, which is way higher than this, which puts this way higher than this. So realistically, getting things for less than 12,000 by disassembling is going to be nearly impossible anyway, especially if you're going to try to buy a large quantity of those things. So I just really wouldn't rely on that. So when you look at Ring of Slaying and then taking the, you know, multiplying it by the cost of the not really multiplying, but calculating the cost of the magic note papers, your cost per material is still actually going to be the lowest you can possibly get for those. Now, the next thing coming into your mind, I bet, is you know, okay, so if it's going to cost us 12,000 or whatever, and I see lots of things on here that are 12 to 13 or 14 or 15 or 16, why wouldn't I just disassemble those things and buy them rather than having to make my own Ring of Slaying? So the reason why that is right here. The materials per hour, guys. So the material per hour is 435. If you look down to these other things that cost 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever, they go anywhere from like 100 up to like 200. So what that means is that's how many materials per hour. So if I do 2 hours of jade bracelets, that is still going to be a little bit less components than 1 hour of a Ring of Slaying, which means that I could quite honestly spend 1 hour smithing Ring of Slayings or crafting them, whatever, rather than disassembling jade bracelets and still get to the same result, and yeah, and get a lot more components and everything like that. You're just, the 435 materials per hour makes it so the rest of these are just so much more slower to actually spend the time disassembling, which makes Ring of Slaying still the best option, even if you're using magic note papers. So obviously you guys don't have to use magic note papers, but if you're really trying to think about this, you're trying to think about the best way of doing it, one question you might want to ask yourself is, what am I going to use those precious components for? If you're going to be using those precious components to make a equipment siphon, then I would highly recommend using the magic note papers. Now the reason why is because an equipment siphon takes 50 simples, it takes 5 dexterous, and takes 5 precious. Now the 5 precious, if you spent 12,000 each, that only comes to 60,000 gold. If you spent like 10,000 each on dexterous, that's only 50,000 gold. That means 110,000. Then you have tons of money left over to get simples, which are really easy to get. You're still going to be making money. So if your idea is, I'm going to make money by making equipment siphons, you're still going to make a ton of money even if you use the magic note papers. So don't worry about, you know, blowing all your profits or whatever. You have quite a bit of room there for profits. So that's kind of how that works. The thing, let's see, one last thing I want to say. So with the addition of Invention machines, so now we have Invention machines, which actually makes getting these precious components even easier for you. So what you can do is you can save even more time by just putting your Rings of Slaying into the Invention machines. That way that you do not have to actually do them yourself. Now, previously we had to, you know, craft the Ring of Slaying and then sit there and disassemble them all. But now if you have the machines unlocked, then you do not have to do that. You can just throw them in the machine and then not worry about doing that. I understand this is a little longer video, guys, but I just wanted to give you guys all the information I possibly can. So if we go over here and we look at this this disassembler I've got, I actually threw some stuff in here earlier. So you can see right here that the this pouch right here is going to be all the components that I've currently gathered by doing this. So all I have to do is throw my Ring of Slaying, which I don't have any right now. But if I threw my Ring of Slaying into here, then it will just sit here and disassemble these. The auto disassembler MK2, which is the bigger one, will disassemble 60 items every hour. So that's going to be 1,200 items per day. So if we withdraw this, you can see how I got 616 junk, 2414 simples, 30 variable components. So right there, I got a whole bunch of stuff just by disassembling this. But you can just throw in the Slayer rings, and that way when you come back here, you'll just be able to collect a whole bunch of precious components and other things as well. So anyway, guys, that's really the end of this video. The next thing I'm going to be talking about here is going to be a little bit about yesterday's video. So if that's really all you wanted to hear about was the precious components, then thank you so much for watching my video. Please hit like, please hit subscribe if you would like to, and leave a comment below if you have any comments about this video. So anyway, about yesterday's video, I just want to throw out a quick note there. So yesterday I made a video that was about saving a bunch of money by siphoning your stuff at level 13 rather than siphoning your stuff at level 12. Now, a lot of people really didn't. There was a lot of comments and everything, and thank you so much for leaving your comment. But I wanted to explain a couple things. So, one of the biggest misconceptions that people posted on there about yesterday's video was, you didn't calculate in the cost of the divine charges. So if you are doing like mining or whatever with your augmented crystal pickaxe, like I was using as an example, if you're using this, it only costs you 15,000 gold per hour. For you to to use it. So if you're adding on extra time, which it doesn't really take very long at all to get from level 12 to 13, you're really spending very minimal money, and you're still saving quite a bit by not using that extra, by cutting your siphons in half. If you don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, then you should probably watch that video yesterday before you watch this part, because then I'm just commenting on that. The next thing is a couple people said, well, in that time saved, you could just go and make your money back. But here's the thing, guys, that is completely irrelevant and doesn't really make any sense if you think about the situation that you're talking about. So here's the thing. If I'm going to go for 200 million mining, I'm going to be mining the entire time I'm going for 200 million mining. I have to do mining. I can't go do Slayer. I can't go kill Queen Black Dragon and make my money back, because I have to do mining. The whole point of the video was the fact that if I'm going to be doing 200 million mining, I'm going to be doing 200 million fishing, I'm going to be 200 million wood cutting, if you're going to be cutting down bamboo or whatever for that. While you're doing these things, you're going to be using an augmented item. Like your weapon, your tool is going to be augmented the entire time, which means you are going to be burning through either 15,000 or 13,500, depending on what level your item is, per hour. So getting to 200 million invention early on is not going to reduce how much you spend per hour on that augmented item. If I have 200 million invention right now because I siphoned quicker in order to save time, then what happens is then I go back to doing fishing, and I have to do 130 million more EXP in fishing right now. If I go do 130 million more EXP in fishing, guess what? I'm still spending charges. So whether I have finished invention right now or I finish invention slower throughout that process, it really just comes down to rushing it. So the whole thing about saving that time, you're not saving any time, because invention, you're not training invention alone. That's the thing that people are missing, is you're not really training invention alone. And kind of like I said, there might be some people that are training invention alone, and for those people that are training invention alone because you already have 200 million for everything else or whatever, then that doesn't really apply to you. So if it doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you, and that's probably the reason why you don't understand it. But for the people that still have to do a whole bunch of EXP in their skilling and everything like that, and for smithing too, if you're going to be doing a bunch of skilling in those things, getting 200 million invention early on, you're still going to be doing invention. You're still going to be using divine charges. So you're just spreading out. You're just making the getting 200 million a little bit longer, and in that process, you're going to be saving yourself a considerable amount of siphons. You're literally going to save 200 siphons by doing that. So that is what I mean by that video. I think that maybe some people misunderstood the video or something like that. I'm not really too sure. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching all my videos. Love you all, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.